I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologize. The events that have transpired on November 3rd, 2019 are events that should live in infamy, not only for me, but for people all around the world. That being said, let's get into some Week 9 football, baby. You guys remember my last video when I said, do I bet on the Patriots winning or the Dolphins losing? Miami, what the fuck are you doing? You guys are so bad at everything, you guys can't even lose properly. Congratulations, you guys beat the Jets and you made Adam Gase do his best impression of me eating lunch alone in high school. Not cool, Miami, not cool. I can't believe how many games I ended up getting wrong this week. I have not had a bad week in predictions pretty much ever. Like, I'm usually really good at predicting games, but this week, everything just went wrong. America, fuck yeah! Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Gardner Minshew, you sexy son of a bitch. Your time as an NFL starter may not have been long, but it's what you did with it is what's really impressive. And yes, that was a small penis joke. Kind of ironic that I'm using it for Gardner Minshew, considering he has the second biggest dick in the NFL. Who's first, you're asking? The guy he replaced, Big Dick Nick Foles. Gardner Minshew had big jock straps to fill, and you know what? Somehow he still made a bulge in them. Okay, I'm sorry, that's enough penis jokes for one episode. Okay, my bad. The Jags could not get the ball moving, except for on defense. And the ball that they were moving was the Texans' ball. And it's not entirely the Jags' fault. Deshaun Watson did not want to go down at all yesterday. He was pulling plays out of his ass just like Bill O'Brien pulls lint out of his butthole chin. Both Deshaun Watson and Gardner Minshew were both avoiding sacks like a nun at a bukkake. But it wasn't enough for Gardner Minshew to get the win. Rest in peace to a legend. Let's just take a moment of silence real quick for Gardner Minshew. Thank you. Uh-oh, the Chiefs have a QB controversy. The past few weeks have really got me thinking though. Is Mahomes just the best system quarterback we've ever seen in the league? No. Tom Brady still takes that honor. As a half fan of the Chargers, I would love to see Matt Moore become the full-time starter over Mahomes. It'd be so awesome. And I'd also love it if Mahomes got traded to the Packers to replace Aaron Rodgers when Rodgers retires. But just like my chances of getting a girlfriend, it's just not going to happen. You know, this game was neck and neck through all four quarters, kind of like how Tyreek was neck and neck with Damian Williams on this play. Seriously though, how fast is Tyreek Hill? He clocked in at over 22 miles per hour. The NFL needs to put a speed limit on the field, not just for his safety. What if there was a kid crossing the street? If Tyreek Hill is nearby, that's a safety hazard in more ways than one. But if I could show just one picture to summarize today's game, it would be this. Just short. The game was won by a field goal, and ever since Kareem Hunt has been gone, Harrison Butker has turned into the best kicker in the AFC West. Way to go, Kirk Cousin, fucker. You blew it.
The fuck you doing here, nigga?
Not gonna lie, I did not watch this game mainly because it's just not the same feeling without Cody Parkey. But I wanted to be informed on the latest kicking mishaps, so I decided to watch the highlights on YouTube. To my displeasure, there were no double doinks today. And I was sorely disappointed to see that the only missed field goal yesterday came off of a Jake Elliott extra point. Jake, what are you doing, kiddo? That's the Bears' job. Now, we all know how fun it is to watch bitch kissing titties throw left. But check this out. He completed a big throw to the left. Now, normally I would be impressed, but then I remembered it was against the Eagles secondary. Eagles, if Mitch, I love to kiss titties, Trubisky, can throw bombs against you, you have a serious problem. You got a good defense, but the secondary is going to haunt you. And yes, that's a late Halloween joke. Here's a quick piece of trivia for you. Who threw more touchdowns for the Steelers? Rudolph or Brian Hoyer? Trick question, they both tied. The reason they tied is because Hoyer threw this beautiful pick six to Minkah Fitzpatrick, tying Mason Rudolph for 1 touchdown for the Steelers. If Frank Reich didn't shave this week, I had a perfect Santa and Rudolph joke planned. But just like his lead in the division, he ruined it. Now, it was a tough day for my great-grandpa's friend's uncle's older brother, Adam Vinatieri. He has kicked through 4 different presidencies. Let that sink in. He kicked through the Clintons, the George W. Bush, the Obama, the Trump. But unfortunately, I think this was his last term. Speaking of presidents, Adam Vinatieri is so old that if he decided to run for president, he still wouldn't be the youngest president of all time. Adam, you've done so much for the NFL. But you gotta go, buddy. It's for your own good.
Now, obviously, the main thing is Jacoby Brissett getting injured. It was just an MRI sprain. He should be back this week, but yeah, close call, buddy.
Wow, you guys beat the Redskins. You want a cookie? Not gonna lie though, Bills Mafia, you boys are looking good, especially on defense. I honestly don't have any witty jokes or anything. It was just good win. I have a quiz for you. Which one of these is the fake headlines? Florida man removes facial tattoos with welding grinder. Florida man denies syringes found in his rectum are his. Florida man tried to run over son because he didn't want to take a bath. Florida man accidentally kills 52 men after forgetting how to use tank. You know, the answer should be pretty obvious, but even the wrong answer wouldn't surprise me in Florida. What has surprised me, though, is that the Dolphins won. What are you guys doing? Listen, I don't know how Adam Gase is employed, but just keep up the bad work. Us NFL fans need something to laugh at. I really love that I got to play against Christian McCaffrey this week in fantasy football. I got to catch him on a slow day. He only scored 3 touchdowns as opposed to his 5 touchdowns per game. Christian McCaffrey scores more times weekly than I have my entire life, and that's still not giving him much credit. Another pretty neat thing about my fantasy opponent is that he also had Derrick Henry, who had this run. You can probably imagine I lost in fantasy football this week, but whatever. Now, suck up. With a chance to make it a 1-possession game and potentially beat the Panthers, Suck Up did his best dump truck impression and went wide right. Panthers with a solid chance to take a wild card spot, and they win this one. It's looking good for them. Well, I think it's safe to say that Russell Wilson is the top MVP candidate now. However, don't let that distract you that the Seahawks still almost lost to the Bucs. I truly can't tell if the Seahawks are good or not. They have a good record, don't get me wrong, but they are just squeezing by these awful opponents, barely beating teams like these. You can't have that. But considering you guys had a hard time containing Jameis, how the hell are you going to contain anyone else who is not bad? You know, I'd be lying if I said I thought the Raiders were going to win this one. This game was back and forth throughout, and it literally came down to 1 yard. 1 yard that if you ran it would have given me fantasy points, Ty Johnson. You don't pass the ball on the 1 yard line. We've learned that throughout history. You also don't tell your barber, hell yeah, just have at it. Trust me, I know from experience. Well, I said the Browns would win this game and walk through their cakewalk of a schedule to make the playoffs somehow, but that ship has sailed. Sailing away, just like the Mayflower. The same Mayflower you can find in a Mayfield. Inside of that Mayfield is a kitchen. With the kitchen is a baker. That baker is trying to get all chubby, but instead doesn't have the ingredients to cook up a win. This analogy makes no sense, but neither does the fact that the Browns lost to the fucking Broncos. There is way too much talent on this team to be losing. Fire Freddie Kitchens. There's no other way. It's your only hope. Meanwhile, on the flip side, the Broncos did better without Joe Cool. Brandon Allen, taking his first ever career start, kicked some serious ass and is probably going to start for the remainder of the season. I wouldn't be surprised. You had a good run, Cleveland Browns. It's time to go home.
The football comes out. The football is scooped up by Hightower, and he takes it home for the touchdown. Owen into the secondary, and down to the 10. Fumbles again. Fumbles, and is recovered by New England.
I know I said the Packers would win this one, but I also said that the Chargers would kick ass after firing a new coordinator, so at least I got half of it right. After seeing all the Packers fans at West Green Bay, I thought the Packers could easily win this, but I was wrong. This game was hard to watch from both sides. Chargers fans finally got to watch a game that wasn't decided by a fucking field goal, but instead multiple field goals, which is what was painful for Chargers fans to watch. They could keep on driving downfield, but the Packers' red zone defense stopped them every single time and made them settle for field goals. Making them kick all those field goals gave Packers fans like myself a whole bunch of optimism that the Packers could still somehow win this. That false optimism ended as soon as former MVP candidate Aaron Rodgers got sacked like 80 times by Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. I say former MVP candidate because these two assholes made it so Rodgers is no longer considered an MVP candidate. I think my favorite part of the game was whenever the Aaron Rodgers State Farm commercials came on, this one specifically. I love it when Aaron Rodgers says, "Wake up." That's pretty ironic coming from the quarterback whose teams looked like they were asleep up until the end of the fourth quarter. It was a good win for the Chargers to keep their slim but very possible playoff hopes alive. And it was definitely a humbling loss for the Packers to help them realize, you ain't all that. Let's get back on track, boys. Do I bet on the Patriots winning or the Dolphins losing? Again, that joke did not age well. Speaking of not aging well, Tom Brady needs to retire. For the sake of all humanity, please retire. The cakewalk of a schedule is finally catching up to them because the second they played a real team, they freeze up faster than a spa employee seeing Robert Kraft walk in the building. Not only did Lamar Jackson show everyone he's the best running back in the league, but the defense just dominated Tom Brady. Thank you, Ravens. Thank you guys so much for beating the Patriots and exposing their shitty offense. Tom Brady needs to retire. This was undoubtedly my worst prediction week. I have never gotten this many game predictions wrong ever. And I just wanted to apologize for spreading the false information. I will get better, I promise.